Gina DeVee, welcome to Brand Disruptors. How are you?
Oh, Mia, I'm doing great, but I'm even better being around you. It's been too long and I'm so happy to be here.
It has been too long. The last time that I was actually out of town was for your event in Miami, where we were actually on the stage together.
Such sweet times and memories. I know they'll come back, but yes, I remember it well.
Yeah, so good, so good. So tell me, what have you been up to, my dear? Like, you have been all over the place. Your book came out last year, right?
Yes,
You had a podcast this year.
yes.
What else have you been doing? Like, tell us all the
You
tea.
know, I think we're all tired of the word pivot, but it is just what I did here over at Divine Living and with my amazing team. My book came out March 3rd, 2020, and I had a whole domestic and international in-person book tour planned, as one does after they've waited 20 years to publish their first book. And you can't write a book on the audacity to be queen. And basically, for those of you who haven't read it, the book is, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And there's an exercise in the book that says, I'm thrilled this is happening because, and you don't get to write that book and not practice what you preach. And I just didn't know I was going to have an opportunity as big as that as soon as the book came out. But Mia, it really made me go within because I felt like disappointment heading towards me, like it was a physical external entity. And I felt self-pity, like comparing myself to all my other colleagues who got to do their book, and I was just like, no, I know better than this. I know better than this is happening for me, not to me. And I did. I'm thrilled this is happening because and it has so expanded my brand and elevated it to such a next level and given me so many gifts and blessings that came so much sooner than I was going to allow them. So I'll take you down the journey. So my book tour went virtual, which meant I got to be on all these huge podcasts and media outlets, which, with all due respect to the amount of people that would have shown up in a room on a bookstore on a Tuesday night, the expansion was way more massive. And women were just so generous in helping. They said, let me introduce you to this person. Let me introduce that person. And so that was that. And then I had never done a challenge before. And my friend Kathy Heller was like, Gina, you need to do a challenge and have like a lower price program because that's what people are wanting right now. I was like, okay. So in June, we did our first challenge and came out with a new program. And we did another one in July and another one in September. And then September, my podcast came out because it was time for that. And then October, I've been sitting on this dream of mine for so long to have my version of like Gina DeVee Netflix meets Food Network meets Travel and Leisure, and that's what we call the Q Club. And that came out in October. And yeah, it's all been such a joy, such a blessing. I know that it's been a very difficult year for many other people and many other industries. And I just think it's important for those of us that do have our health and do have access to building our brands that we don't dim our light, particularly during this very dark time. We each have a divine assignment at different seasons in our life, and I just have seized the ones I've just listed as being mine.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff that have gotten done in such a short amount of time. But I want to go back to something that you said earlier, because what I've noticed in my own life, and especially in the work that we've done together, I feel like when we make an intention or when we teach something to our clients,
Mm-hmm.
right, we
Mm-hmm.
have to practice it ourselves.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Yes, yes, yes.
So when you found this disappointment coming in and you were
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, why the hell can't I go out and do my book tour and be all glamorous and do all the things that book tours encompass? Like, why can't I do that shit? Like, when you saw that happening for you,
Mm-hmm.
when you first became aware of it, like, you felt it, you said, right? You felt it in your body.
Yes. Like I almost saw the disappointment coming at me, like it was this like external villain.
And then you said, what to that damn villain?
I said, I know better.
Yeah.
I know better. And I look, I don't always get it right. There's a thing that I'm really passionate about, particularly in the women entrepreneur community right now, and it's living what we've learned. And there's so much talk about spirituality, and there's so much talk about neurological pathways, and there's so much like we create a reality and words have a vibration. And like, I feel like I didn't, for those of you that don't know my background, my parents were school teachers. I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. Like, Gina from Detroit didn't know this stuff. I didn't know that you could create your reality. I didn't know that you get what you focus on and what you think has a vibration, and that you can be, do, and have anything that you want. And so I feel so just humbled and blessed. Of the 7.8 billion people that are on this planet, 95% of them living in war zones and literal poverty, that women like us have literally been given the keys to the kingdom. And over the past, I'm imagining, Mia, the women listening to your podcast, like, this isn't their first podcast listen, this is it's not their first personal development book, and it's not their first seminar that they've been to. It's like, and for us to not, to the best of our ability, live what we know, it's an atrocity. It's an atrocity. And, it's like I saw women freaking out this year, and, sending in, most of my women were so great and showing up as good. Some women were like, I'm really disappointed that you're not hosting a live event. Let's see. First of all, it's illegal. Second of all, it's harmful. Third of all, it's not possible. And fourth of all, you've been coaching with me for 3 years and you know enough about brain training. Like, I'm sad for you right now, And so, in owning my own walk and taking like radical personal responsibility, it wasn't easy. Of course, I'm human. I had those feelings, but honestly, Mia, I let it last for like 30 minutes. I
Ooh, that's awesome.
I saw it coming in, and I'm enough of a believer in, as feminine women, it's important for us to feel our feelings. And I said, you know what, Gina, on a human level, go ahead, give yourself go ahead, feel your disappointment, feel your, this isn't fairness, feel your sadness. And I did, I felt it. And then I was like, this isn't having me feel any better. I don't feel any more justified. It certainly hasn't changed the circumstances. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to apply spiritual principle. And it's not a spiritual bypass. I'm going to apply spiritual principle. I'm going to do it now. Like, this is happening for me. And then boom, and I'm off. So people can send in emails and make their Facebook posts about whatever they think is fair and whoever isn't doing what. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm just really, it's like, there was like the industrial age, right? And then there was the information age, and it's like, we're past that now. We've gotten the information, and it's like, I don't know if there's a term coined for it yet, but I feel like this is the live what you know age.
Yes.
And I'm just finding so much freedom in that, and it's not for everyone. But for who it is, like, those women are rising up big time with all their positivity, and their brands are stand out because everything is energy and it's a vibration. And so that's just really what I'm obsessed with, delighted by, and committed to these days.
Yeah, but let's talk about that, because this has always been your obsession, right? You've been obsessed with queen and queendom and all of that for years now. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that what's apparent to me, like, in this moment, is that you made a declaration about 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago when you started Queen Program? You made a
Yes.
declaration, and
Mm-hmm.
you said, like, I am all about the feminine and I'm all about the queen, and I want women to really get into that kind of mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me, what is the queen mindset, Gina?
Oh, so glad you asked. It is my favorite subject. It's women like us literally being the best versions of ourselves unapologetically, with swagger and dazzle, and just loving who we are and showing up to do what we came here to do. And each woman giving herself permission to claim her own version of queenhood. I write about in my book, whether yours is Birkenstocks or Birkins, or anywhere in between, that choice is yours, and own it.
Yeah, and nobody gets to tell us, right? Nobody gets to say what your brand should look like or what your version of queen is, because I feel like everybody thinks that, oh, if I'm going to be successful, I need to make my brand look like Gina's, or I might
Hmm.
make my brand look like Mia's, when really it's about you coming home to yourself and figuring out what that is, right?
Hmm. Hmm. And it's both ways, and it's also not, it's owning who you are in your majesty, whatever your style is, and not letting it be an excuse like, oh, well, I'm not into Jimmy Choo's. Well, great. And if you are, to not dim your light over that as well. Like I've had like so many people along the way, some say, Gina, you're so inspirational. And some will be like, Gina, you need to just dial it down a bit. Like you look like you're blah, blah, blah. And I was like, F that, people. Like I wanted this stuff since I was Gina in Detroit when I was $75,000 in debt and living at home with my parents. Like I needed the others who didn't dim their light to show up and show me what was possible. So no, I'm gonna do me, which happens to normally be a hoop earring and a heel and whatever is the mood I'm in that day, um, and love it. And like this thing, like, well, we need to dim our light. Like, go be you and be more of you. And the only thing I'll say about that, I think like the one thing I didn't realize, because I am so about the inspirational and the aspirational, I didn't realize that the pieces that I was afraid that other people would think about me or find out about me or whatever, that those pieces are attractive also
Absolutely.
for the right people. And they're not for whoever it's not for. And so I think that so much of my brand building, because I personally, like, I don't really want to watch other people's dirty laundry. Like, I don't necessarily want to watch other people's process. Like, I'm really about the results and let's make it happen. And how can this happen? And so I think I like teetered a little too heavy in that realm because it's what I thought I wanted. And I didn't think other people wanted the process and some of the other stuff. And now I'm, as queen, what I'm realizing is that women who respond to the queen archetype, they really do have a capacity for all of it.
Mhm.
The light shadows and the dark shadows, the brilliance and the foibles, and all the stuff in between. So I think that the more your listeners will give themselves permission to be who they are, have the desires they have the mistakes that they've had, like this is queenhood, and owning all of it and not living in shame or embarrassment or entitlement or superiority.
Don't you feel like the world is asking for that though? Like we're all in this space. I feel like, especially in 2020,
Hmm.
everybody has been like, there's been like this light that's been shining, and it's shining in all of the dark corners of the world. And it's like, okay, people, wake up. It's time to wake up, and it's time to really be yourself.
Hmm.
And I want to say that I feel like at the deepest essence, that that's what we're all doing.
I
Or
wish.
people stepping into queen.
I wish. Mia, I want to mirror to you how rare you are right now, woman. Like this, look at, there's a line in the course, there's a line in the Bible and the Course in Miracles that says, many are called, but few are chosen. And the Course in Miracles interprets that scripture to be, many are called, but few care to listen.
Mm,
And I know you to know well enough how rare you are, because you and I, at the end of the day, we don't need to be right. We're going for happy. We're going for, let me get the lesson. Let me graduate. Let me grow. Like, we got egos, but we'll let those get slayed because of the true pursuit.
absolutely.
And that is not the masses. The masses are scared. The masses want the paint by number. The masses want to blame, the easy fix. So yes, this light that has been shined on the darkest corners globally it is for those who care. It's for all of us, and there are few that care to listen.
Absolutely. I'll take that. I'll take that. And yes, you're right. And I guess it's because, and just like you, I feel like we're probably not in similar circles, but the people that are in our circles, they care about being called and they care about doing something about these things.
Yes.
So I think I take for granted
Yes.
that that's what the rest of the world looks like, even though I can see what's happening, in the White House. But it's interesting to me, though, that when we get into these kinds of places, right? I'm part of your community. And when we get into these places, how much growth happens in such a short amount of time, right? It feels like it's taken a long time because you're looking at other people and what they're doing, and you're like, damn, I'm not growing as fast. But then now that I'm looking back and actually having a conversation with you on my podcast, right? It's like, shit, are you the same person that was in my program 2017 that didn't even want to get on camera and do nothing, right? Yeah. So let's switch to J-Lo. I don't know if you saw, so J-Lo is one of Gina's idols, loves J-Lo, channels her quite often, right? I love the green flowered palm print outfit that you had on.
Oh, thank you.
Where was that? In Miami?
Miami.
Yeah. So total J-Lo lookalike that day. Her picture that she put out for her 51st birthday. When we were talking about people who DM you and say, Gina, you need to be, you're too much, right? And I know she got a lot of backlash for that photo. Like, what do you say to women who are afraid of the haters and afraid of getting backlash like J-Lo did, like you did? Like, what do you say to women about that?
I mean, it's like beauty's in the eye. I looked at that photo and I was like, I called my trainer. I'm like, if I work out twice a day, will that like, I was so inspired,
Absolutely.
And that doesn't have look at there's so many forms of excellence in the world. There's great musicians, there's great athletes, there's dancers, there's business people, there's scientists, there's inventors. I'm obsessed with excellence. I can see it and I can revere it. I don't want it in every area of my life. Like, I don't personally have a need to be an inventor or a scientist. I've actually gotten into watching NFL football a lot more recently. I know it's part meditative for me, and it's part like I'm obsessed with the excellence, but I have no desire for anybody to run into me on any level in any way, energetically, spiritually, physically, or otherwise.
Let's just be clear about that, universe. So that does not happen. Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I'll get back to your original question, but I'll just share the reason why I am personally inspired by that photo of hers is growing up in a Christian home and with an Italian mother who was always overweight. There was a combination of that was my main female role model, on top of, in the particular Christian environment that I grew up in, you were not supposed to be sexy. You were supposed to hide your body. And I never had weight issues growing up. I never was like physically fit because I never worked at it, because I was never interested in athletics. And then I also wasn't ever supposed to look that good with my body.
Right.
And I turn 48 December 22nd. I don't know when this podcast is going to come out. And I look back, my 48-year-old self looks to my teen years, who like never got to celebrate and enjoy my body at that time. And same in my 20s and same in my 30s. And it's like, I'm just about at the weight that I was when I met Glenn when I was 32. And I've never given myself permission to for physical excellence. It's never when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and blah blah blah. So like I've always been fine. Like, I've always enjoyed fashion and always wanted to look good, but I never let myself be that sexy. And
Yeah.
this isn't for anyone else. This is for me,
Yes. No, I can totally relate to this.
you
Yes.
know? And so I think that's so all this to say, so that's why I personally am inspired by her photo. So I'm sure, Mia, your listeners know enough about triggers, know enough about projection and judgment that anyone that needs to throw shade on her photo has their own stuff about body image or what is allowable for a woman or a mother or a 50-something-year-old. Because I can look at I don't know, certain people doing certain things and like not have anything on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that just means there's like no trigger there. But if I have a need to like, what does she think she's doing? All like there's something there for someone who's got to say that. So all of this to say, for any of us in business and with our brands and how we're showing up and who are you to do, you know, X, Y, and Z, um, being at the stage of business and visibility that I am, how do I want to say this? It's just really necessary that we be a queen about it. And if you go into being a business mogul, like elevating your brand, whatever business mogul is to you, if that's 50,000 or 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever your thing is, and if you expect that everyone's going to be polite, that everyone's going to be appropriate, and that everyone's going to like what you do, you've missed it. Like that's princess mentality. Um, and I'm not saying it has to just be water off a duck's back. There's a reason there's coaches. So like my coach is on speed dial, right? Like if stuff comes up and negative feedback comes in, which none of it can be negative, because back to spiritual principle, in the eyes of God, God would not, is only allowing anything, any challenge to appear in our lives so that we can rise above, so that we have an opportunity. Are we going to choose love? Or are we going to choose fear? Are we going to choose queen? Or are we going to choose saboteur? And so it's getting great at observing humanity, I guess, is my best advice.
Mm.
So and observing humanity, observing yourself. So what I write about in my book about the need to be Little Miss Perfect and codependent, if you, to the degree that I needed to be perfect, I was terrified of critical feedback coming in, because Little Miss Perfect world is someone's right and someone's wrong. So if you're getting criticized, all of a sudden you are wrong and someone else is right. And
Mhm.
that's a terrible, horrible feeling to live in. But a queen understands that power is not finite. It's like, it's not what the old dead white guys have taught us, that some people have it and some people don't. And there's been abuses of power and people that have tried to suppress it or take it. But the truth is, everybody has power. And if you don't give your power away, then other people don't have your power. And what, because like what we talked about, like me and I are so obsessed with growth. So I'll like go and look at like feedback or DM or whatever, and someone's like, Gina, I can't believe, and how did, and I'm looking, and you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for any way that this feedback can be correct. I'm
Mm.
like, I'm looking, because anything that I can claim, anything that I can learn, anything that I can own that is true for me. I can't
So
take
good.
on, I'm only looking for what is true for me.
So good.
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking for anything that is correct for me. Then I'm more of a queen. Then I'm more Gina. Then I am more whole. Then I am more me. Because if it's like, you know what? She's got a point. Like, I owe this person an apology, or I should make that change in my business. That's a great idea. If I'm not worried about needing to be right and I'm looking for what's actually true for me,
Oh, so good.
then I'm more empowered. And then the real art here, and this has taken me a while, and I still work on this one, is not taking on other people's stuff,
Hmm.
not taking on what someone else thinks is true. And the next level that I've had to go with it, Mia, is, they say the definition of genius is being able to hold two opposite truths at the same time.
Oh, yes.
And so if I get an email or DM and someone is genuinely having that experience, and if my experience is nowhere in the same realm, but to be able to not dim my light, not collapse, not make myself wrong, and not make myself more right. Like, just like, I really hear you that that's your experience. And if you don't take it on, then you can actually be very compassionate and gracious with people and
Mhm.
really loving. Um, and it's a much more free place to take. But this is like a level of mastery that I, depending on who it is and what they're saying, I have to really work for.
Yeah, because everybody's not qualified to give you feedback, right?
Um, everyone is not qualified to for you to take on their words. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people don't know enough about you or what they're talking about sometimes to even give you the feedback that they give you.
Yes.
That's been my experience. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But if someone's giving feedback, like, and I guess the only reason why I'm hesitating here is I don't want your listeners to think that, you know, we just live in a day and age where everyone thinks they're a media outlet.
Yes.
So
Yes. 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 Okay, so now we're gonna have just a little bit of fun because I know that you read the questions.
yes.
And I'm curious, like
Hmm.
what, like for you, what is something that is your favorite like outfit to wear? Like what would you just like,
Caftan.
of course. Of course, yes, 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 in all kinds of shapes and sizes too, right?
Yes.
Love
Yes.
it, love it. Okay, now what would we never catch you in? What would you never wear?
Overalls.
I've never heard anybody say that, but I could never imagine you in a pair of overalls. Like that would not even be on my radar. That's good, you know. What's your least favorite mode of communication?
Ooh. LinkedIn. I go into shutdown even when I get those notifications. It's just, I can't even get into it. It's just not my
I'm
thing.
with you. I'm with you. I was talking to some of my clients and I was like, they were asking me about LinkedIn. I was like, guys, I don't know. I'm on it, but no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. What, like, I know I've seen you in certain colors, but what is your favorite color? Do you have one?
Ooh. Unlike today, normally my latest thing, whenever I shop, I won't buy like black, brown, navy, or gray anymore. Like, I'm only buying color. Um, my favorite color. I'm thinking. I'm thinking there's like I'm I'm thinking of some stuff that I've purchased recently. It's the happier colors right now. I think particularly after 2020, there are a lot of like patterns. I think it's not like a color block, but like I bought some dresses that have like pink and red and black and white in them. So there's like a little party, and then there's another one I'm thinking of that's got like some golds and purples and blacks and fuchsias. So it's like I'm the happy party colors are what I'm buying right now.
Happy party. I love that. I love that. Okay, so what would you say to the listeners? Like if they wanted to really start to tap into what it means to be a queen
Mm.
and own um, their queenness, what's the first thing or the one thing that you think that they should be doing?
Well, I don't mean for this to be a shameless plug, but I will say, my book really will help ground what could either sound like a lofty concept or even a cheesy one. I'm not unaware branding wise about a queen and crowns and, that's not what lights me up about my brand. When you get into the substance of it, and for those that don't know, it was based on an ancient story, a true story of Queen Esther from Persia. So there's a lot of depth and substance in it. Beyond the principles in the book, for me, more than ever, I am valuing my time alone with spirit in the morning.
Mm.
I do, I'm not alone. I do work out with a trainer every day at 6. And so I get up at 4 these days. And it's because I want to have a solid 2-hour chunk of time before I go into even movement, just with my coffee and my books and my reading and my prayer time with God. Um, and that morning time is just, it's just all queen time. I think that when a woman prioritizes time alone with herself and her connection with source, that you're reminded of the truth, you get the answers, you have the confidence, you know that all things are possible, and it's easier to live your day from that place. So that's what I'd say.
I love that. I love that. Love it. Thank you, Gina.
Hmm.
Thank you for being here. Do you have anything else that you want to tell the audience before we take off?
What do I want to say? Let me ask. So what I'm getting is who you are is amazing. You are, if I may, you can translate however you want. You are a child of God, which means that you have access to the infinite. And please don't let anyone or any thought, anyone else or even your own thoughts tell you that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that someone else is more worthy, more capable. We are all, the desires that are in our hearts, they were placed there by spirit. And we all have the ability to be, do, and have exactly what those desires are. So trust them and only surround yourself with the people who bring out the best in you.
Ooh.
Be more fierce about that. Um, I used to be like, well, like these parts of these people are cool, but I don't really love that, so I'm just going to focus on the good. And it's I've raised my standards for my friends,
Mm.
for my family, and more recently, even with my clients. You are creating the brand that you are and pouring everything into it. So much love, so much soul. You're thinking about it constantly. And I know you're women, man. Like, it's like you're here to serve. And so anyone that isn't grateful, appreciative, the vibrational match for that, do not think that you need to work with that person or take them on. You deserve to pour your brilliance and your genius and your creativity into people who are going to really take it and do something with it. So honor yourself by who you surround yourself with.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So one more thing, how do people find you?
Yes. If you're on Instagram, you can come on over to Gina DeVee is my handle there. And the whole world of Divine Living is at divineliving.com. So if you want the book or any of our free programs or our paid programs or any of them, it's all at divineliving.com.
Awesome. Yeah, because Gina's taking folks to Italy next year. I mean, love it. Love it. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Oh, Mia, it's always great being with you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.